If you know anything about the history of flight, then you've heard of the Spruce Goose, Howard Hughes' 1940s engineering marvel. In this video, I'll take you to the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum in McMinnville, Oregon, and give you a full tour of the exterior, interior, and cockpit of this huge and incredible beast. Stay tuned and I'll also show you plenty of other amazing artifacts in the collection of this world-class museum that you probably have never even heard of. Officially named the Hughes H-4 Hercules, the Spruce Goose is a true marvel of engineering and ambition. At 320 feet, or 97 meters, its wingspan is still the largest of any passenger aircraft ever built. Yep, that's 53 feet wider than even the A380. The huge plane is 218 feet, 66 meters long, and has a 79-foot or 24-meter tall tail. That's nearly as high as an 8-story building. Just for perspective's sake, the span of the horizontal stabilizers on the tail is almost the exact same width as the entire wingspan of a Boeing 737. The plane is a flying boat designed with massive wing floats for water landings and takeoffs. A fun side note, the hollow floats were filled with beach balls to still provide flotation in case of a water leak. The plane was powered by 8 Pratt & Whitney radial engines, each producing 3,000 horsepower, enabling it to lift an estimated maximum payload of over 68 tons. Its cargo hold is cavernous, designed to carry hundreds of troops and heavy equipment. The Spruce Goose was also fitted with innovative design features such as reinforced wing spars and a pressurized cabin, which was rare for planes of this era. So why was it originally designed? Well, during World War II, Nazi submarine patrols in the North Atlantic made ship transport very dangerous, and the largest airplane at that time was only capable of carrying a few dozen people. So the idea was conceived to build a colossal flying boat capable of safely ferrying troops and supplies across the Atlantic but out of harm's way. But why build it out of wood? Well, due to wartime restrictions on strategic needed metals like aluminum and steel, Hughes was challenged to use alternatives. And though it was nicknamed the Spruce Goose, most of its structure was actually made of strong, lightweight laminated Wisconsin birch plywood. Due to significant delays, the one prototype wasn't flight ready until the war was over. With no war, no metal shortages, and the development of new high-powered jet engines to power aircraft, the Spruce Goose was obsolete before it even made its first flight. It only flew once, on November 2nd, 1947. During the 1-mile flight, which was originally supposed to just be a taxiing test, it flew over Long Beach Harbor, reaching an altitude of 70 feet and a speed of around 135 miles an hour. So although you can see the plane and enter part of its cargo hold with regular admission to the museum, if you want to access the cockpit and the forward portions of the cargo hold, you need to book a guided tour for an extra $24. The commentary from our enthusiastic guide and the access to off-limit spaces made the additional fee seem like an absolute bargain. The guided tour takes you into the nose of the plane to see the testing equipment stations up close, as well as into the cargo hold. You'll then ascend the spiral staircase to get to the cockpit and upper deck. The upper deck was super spacious, had comfortable seating for reporters who would have been on hand for test flights, as well as stations for testing engineers to monitor the structure and systems of the plane while it was in flight. At the rear of the space is access into the interiors of the wings. During testing, men would have been placed in the spaces behind each engine to monitor for leaks and fires. I imagine that noise was deafening. The cockpit boasted 1940s state-of-the-art controls and instrumentation. An interesting side note, Howard Hughes was well known for being a highly eccentric germaphobe. Since the whole upper deck would have been filled with dozens of reporters and engineers, he had a personal fresh air system built into the plane to have a tube deliver filtered pure air directly to his seat at the pilot controls. Now be sure to poke your head through one of the open hatches above the pilot seats to get a uniquely amazing view of the plane. It really helps you grasp how big it is. Now, as I mentioned before, the Spruce Goose is located in the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum, located in McMinnville, Oregon. The museum was created by Delford Smith, the founder of now bankrupt cargo airline Evergreen International. The space was built specifically to house the giant plane, which was moved there in 1993 from Long Beach, California. The museum first opened to the public in 2001, and besides the Spruce Goose, it has an impressive collection of historic military, civilian, and experimental aircraft on view. In addition to plenty of other unique aircraft on view, there's also an active restoration shop where volunteers in the museum work on caring for the collection and readying new acquisitions for viewing. Now be sure to go up the staircase right beside the gift shop to get to the balcony. From there, you'll get a beautiful high view of the Spruce Goose and museum floor, as well as see a fascinating display of vintage 1960s and 70s flight attendant uniforms. Some serious cutting-edge fashion from back in the day. In 2008, the museum expanded and built a second building to house more modern aircraft and items related to spaceflight. A few of the highlights in this building include a Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird. This iconic reconnaissance aircraft is one of the fastest planes ever built, capable of speeds exceeding Mach 3. In fact, only 36 of these planes were ever constructed. There's also a Titan II intercontinental ballistic missile and a launch control room. This launch vehicle was used for the Gemini manned space missions and was also designed to be capable of carrying nuclear payloads. They also have an original test Mercury space capsule on display. Now, looking at this small capsule and realizing this would have been placed on top of an Atlas missile and launched into orbit helped me to truly appreciate how brave those early 1960s astronauts were. Now, they also had tons of other items related to manned spaceflight on display, both replicas and plenty of original space-flown artifacts. My son particularly enjoyed trying his hand at the Apollo Lunar Module Landing Simulator. The museum recently acquired a 1990s Lockheed F-117A Nighthawk stealth fighter. This model is the world's first operational stealth fighter, and it's the actual aircraft that dropped the first bomb in 1991's Operation Desert Storm. The plane is on view, but currently under restoration, which is why it isn't painted the typical black. It was super fascinating to see this up close. Now, outside the museum buildings, there's also a number of airplanes on display, including a 747 cargo jet, which you're welcome to walk around and under. Adding a playful twist to the museum's offerings, a full-size Boeing 747, which has water slides coming out of it, is perched atop the adjacent Wings and Waves Waterpark, which has a separate admission fee and is located right next to the main museum. The Evergreen Aviation Space Museum has an incredible collection of artifacts, making it a must-see destination for flight and space enthusiasts. While the Spruce Goose is undoubtedly its star attraction, the museum's collection boasts hundreds of other artifacts showcasing the history of flight and human ingenuity. Although it's in an unassuming rural location, the Evergreen Aviation Space Museum is a true gem whose collection rivals that of other world-class museums. If you're visiting Portland, Oregon, it is well worth the trek. Its extensive collection, interactive exhibits, and dedication to preserving the history of flight makes it a must-visit destination for anyone fascinated by the skies and beyond. Thanks for tuning in. A subscribe is truly appreciated and helps me to continue the channel.